Thanks for staying with us. So usually on Wednesdays, we like to celebrate women who are doing amazing work. So today our guest is an award-winning international fashion entrepreneur, an emerging thought leader in the African fashion space. She owns a diversified Pan-African fashion and lifestyle brand with several business expressions, both locally and international. Having quit her lucrative job with one of the top banks in Nigeria, Patient has gone on to become an integral part of Vanguard and innovative fashion entrepreneurs who are redefining the fashion landscape and placing Africa on the global map with cutting-edge designs and styles. Welcome with us, Patient Ehi Odokoro to the show. CEO Ehi Group. Good to have you on the show. You look amazing. I love your jacket.
Thank you.
And that's your design, right?
Yes.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
So tell us a bit about your the work you do. How did you discover fashion? Because a lot of people love fashion. They want to get into it. They kind of just start at that level, the grassroots, just trying to make clothes, but they're not ever able to scale to that international, global level. Yeah. So tell us how you started and what led to that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show. So I started my fashion journey while I was in university, interestingly. So it was me just retailing clothes, and I really just love to style myself. And I remember winning best dressed in my law faculty while I was there. Then I realized I had something for fashion. But then the key part that I like about fashion the most is sourcing for fabrics. So I just love to play with colors, put fabrics together, and I realized it was a thing for me. And that's how I started. But interestingly, I also had to find a white spot to say, okay, so what exactly can I do differently in this space? And then I started the journey that way. I discovered that in the Nigerian fashion sector, a lot of people are not so professional. They would say, okay, we're delivering in 2 weeks, and it's not the case. Or they say we're doing this design, and then they don't do that. So I had to think of how do I fix that problem? And that's how I started the Fabric Hub in 2016. Interestingly, I didn't have any money. I was working in a bank, earning, I think, 135,000 at the time. But then I had that desire, and I applied for a grant under UWIN. So that's how I started the Fabric Hub.
Oh, so you win benefactor.
Yes, I am.
You just said that everybody who took you win, where's gone?
Oh no, I did. I actually did. I got a 6.5 million naira grant, and they gave me the first tranche, which was 4 million. We rented the shop, bought machines, bought fabrics, and then we started growing like that.
Have you ever met President Jonathan?
I haven't. I think
it's been nice for you to meet him. To tell me
they are actually very, very proud of my journey. They are actually proud of my journey. And interestingly, I would say that I've benefited from the government. I would actually say that because apart from UWIN, I also at some point got a support from BOI to get more machines to be able to produce. So yes.
That's a good story.
So let me find out what exactly that hub covers. Is it that people can come in and sew there, or you're just using it to sew your designs, get your fabrics? How does it work?
Also, it's just to sew my design. So I currently run Ehi Woman, which is a ready-to-wear brand, and then also Fabric Hub, which is a fabric retail business and bespoke tailoring business as well. Yes.
So if I want fabric, I just come to you.
Yes, to get your fabrics. Yes.
Okay, so when we get to celebrate women we love, it's from the perspective of how others can replicate the success that you've had.
Yes.
And I'm happy that you didn't just say, nah, God, or I worked hard, but you highlighted the support you've gotten from the government initiatives that you applied for.
Yes.
What have you seen as an entrepreneur as prevented? What many people don't assume it doesn't work. Did you have, were there connections? What were the things you had to put in place that made you able to apply, or was it just, I'm confident, they would just say no, last. What was it? Like?
No, it took a lot of work. It took a lot of support as well from my friends. I remember it was a friend who told me about UWIN. But most importantly, is first identifying what you want to do and the problem you want to solve, and being willing to put in the work. It took a lot of work, putting numbers together, projecting, creating my business plan. I remember when I was applying for UWIN, I did all of that work. Wow. And it didn't end there. There was also a need to go for some training. And over time, I never went to a fashion school, but I knew that I wanted to solve a problem in that space. So I kept building myself, learning, investing in courses. I got a mentor. I remember that just when I put my resignation letter, I had to go look for a mentor who currently runs one of the biggest fashion brands in Africa, I would say. It's called Vodi. and I interned there for about 3 months.
Amazing.
So there's a need for that internship, there's a need to actually gain the experience, and there's a need to constantly keep building yourself and be willing to put the work. Yes.
I think from my end, I would just like to get a clarification. People still say, oh, these are tailors and these are fashion designers.
Yes.
What's going on? What's the disparity between tailors and fashion designers?
What's the difference?
There's
What's the
a whole
difference?
lot of difference. So I don't call myself a fashion designer. I call myself a fashion entrepreneur, for instance. And that's because I'm providing fashion solutions. A fashion designer could be in different aspects. Be that you design clothes, you could be that as you design, you also can stitch and sew. But a tailor is someone who is just focused on stitching and sewing, so you know how to handle a machine. So that's totally different. But a designer, there's a whole aspect for you to be a designer, from you being able to illustrate to cut patterns and all of that.
Okay.
Yes.
So we are fashion entrepreneurs. Because we can't do anything. But let me talk about mentorship a bit more.
Yeah.
In the world of business, you get to a certain stage and you start understanding that you can't upscale to a certain level if you are not in collaboration or in connection with certain people in that industry.
Yes.
And you know, sometimes people are afraid to go out there and say, I want you to be. It's usually easy when a mentor spots you and say, okay, I'd like to mentor you, right? But you going out to search for a mentor, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to approach them? What sort of value are you supposed to bring to the table to say, I can do this and this for you, I just want you to mentor me? And how willing do you think many of these mentors are in helping other people grow?
Okay, that's a really good question, because I would say that I've benefited from being mentored. So I see that it's important. But a lot of times what I've realized is that people say, I want to be mentored, but they don't want to nurture the relationship. They don't want to add any value. I remember year 2 of my business, it felt like, oh, what was I doing? I didn't understand my numbers. I was making sales, I was growing, but I could not see the cash in the bank. And I remember sending a DM at that time. I had never met Smaya Tafo, and I sent him a DM. And I said, I wanted you to mentor me, guide me. I'm struggling. I don't understand what I'm doing. And he said, okay, I'm going to be in Abuja. I'm based out of Abuja. I'm going to be in Abuja. I want you to work with me that day as my assistant. I was happy, ready early. I was the one taking, when he's measuring, I'm recording everything. And we started from that journey of me just being willing. And we sat down for 2 hours and he asked me one question: how do you price your goods? And that was the beginning of me discovering that I was just dabbling and running a charity business. So mentorship is important, but you also have to see that you nurture the relationship. Yes, and then you reach out. It's either a yes or a no. But most times people are holding back, saying that they might reject me, they might not say yes. But then just ask. Just ask.
I mean, I love love what you just said, because I like how practical it is and people can what people can do. We've had issues with businesses have struggled in Nigeria, from power challenges to staffing challenges. Which of these would say was your most challenging? What was the biggest challenge you faced as an entrepreneur, and how did you solve it, or which one are you still trying to solve?
Okay. It feels like it's almost endless. The challenges, it's almost endless, but then you just have to keep pushing and staying consistent and being resilient. I feel in Nigeria, if you run a business, you just have to be so resilient.
You need blue blood.
Oh God. So one thing that I'm still struggling with will still be staffing, and even around tailors, having them stay. They're looking for the next big thing. They're looking for the next 500 naira that would push them to just say, okay, I'm done, or they don't show up anymore. So it's a struggle. But then interestingly, I'm looking out for how the government would also support us and have clusters where you can literally just go there and produce your outfits. Sort of struggling with tailors every time, especially when you start thinking around exports, which is what we are at this stage. We have outlets around Africa. So we're saying, how can we produce? Let it be in-house, but then we still can't find enough tailors.
I like your story, because I really like, and even I like what you're seeing as the next steps, because I see how you've been able to hear about an opportunity, applied for it, you took that first step to learn and knew the way you need mentoring, nurture that relationship. Now you're at the point where you're saying, we need a hub where the government can provide something where we have 2,000 tailors. So you can now book your own spot and then have your product. So I see the steps. But in your view as an entrepreneur, what do you think Nigerians can do to tap into this industry? What other areas can young people say, you know what, I don't want to be an entrepreneur, but is there an area, can I do tagging? What area can I tag into to get into the fashion business?
There's a lot in the fashion business that is just being abandoned. I would say one aspect that people can focus on is around quality control. We don't have a system around that. That's one thing we struggle with, and that's why it's a bit of a struggle for us to even play in the global space. Because you produce something, if you are not paying, for me, for instance, let's say if you are not there, and how much time can I be there to check 2,000 pieces? So how about we build people who realize that, okay, I want to even be a merchandiser. I'll be the one who would come in and say, when you have this jacket, you should have a pants with it, a skirt with it, and you guide the designer. The designer might just be someone who creates and designs and puts colors together. They don't know that they should think around the woman and say, if a woman is buying a jacket, she needs a camisole. So they just create the jacket and it's there, and someone comes in. So there's a need for that. A lot of people need to see there's so many aspects and value chain in the fashion industry that is being neglected in Nigeria. Everybody wants to be the designer. Everybody wants to be the designer.
So, I mean, we have to wrap up with you, but is there anything you think that we can also learn from you? Is there anything that is left that we can learn from you?
I think she runs Enlighten Her initiative, which says that you put 10% of your proceeds from Ehi Woman, put it into Enlighten Her. How is Enlighten Her doing? What are the specifics of Enlighten Her initiative?
So I created Enlighten Her initiative because I felt like there's a need for young women to be guided. And especially young women from the age of 18 to 25. I feel like that's a period in your life where you need to make serious decisions that would shape your life. And a lot of young women at that time would hold back, and then maybe they're just in school, just in their corner, they don't have someone who's guiding them. And so that's the whole essence of creating Enlighten Her initiative. Guide young women, provide seed funds for them if they need to go to school, start a business, just run in life, basically. And we've been doing that for, I would say, 4 years. We've been able to provide a few seed grants from profits that we made from Ehi Woman to women as well. And then it's been interesting.
Great. Thank you so much, Ehi, for coming. We appreciate you. Wishing you the best in your business.
Thank you.
Let's go on a very short break. When we come back, we continue with the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your